So yesterday, I decided to binge Cyberpunk Edgerunners. Yeah, I know that came out like 3 years ago, but better late than never. And now I'm fucking depressed. In a mere 10 episodes, the show takes you on a journey through the futuristic Night City, as you experience the bitter reality of the cyberpunk universe. There's violence, cyborgs, violence, mega corporations running the world, violence, and the gut-wrenching ending, which could make a grown man stare over the edge himself. But just exactly how does it make you feel like bawling your eyes out? So as your therapist, Victor Blaine, I'm gonna break down exactly why you're such a puss. How Cyberpunk Edgerunners edges you until you bust into tears in less than an average season of anime. If you've watched my last videos, you'll know that the characters are 70% of the reason I'll enjoy an anime. If they're not fuckable, I'm moving on to the next isekai with a longer title. But nah, for real, in order for viewers to emotionally connect with the story of a show, you need to actually care about and understand the characters. David is an outcast and impoverished kid, going to school with snobbish cunts bragging about their skills which they got with daddy's money, and has a single parent mum working her ass off to give him a better shot at life. Like 90% of people can relate to at least one of these traits, which instantly draws you into the story. Right away, we see that the world is shit. His mother dies in the first episode, leaving him with her expectations of him climbing the corporate ladder and standing at the top of Arasaka Tower. Oh fuck, my PTSD is kicking in. Give me a moment. The one person he is attached to is gone. So what's left? Revenge. That's what. First, revenge against his classmate, but more broadly, revenge and disdain for the dystopian society he lives in. After losing everything, David mopes around and stumbles upon Lucy, and through her, he meets the Edgerunner crew she's part of. He finally finds his purpose and meets people he wants to connect with, thus beginning his journey as an Edgerunner. This group became something like a family to him, with Maine acting as the father figure he never had, and Lucy, who he falls for, and who tells him her secret of wanting to go to the moon. David, who was aimless before, decides to help Lucy achieve her dream. But what he doesn't realize is that upon meeting him, Lucy's dream shifts from trying to escape the cage of light as she falls for him too. A thing to note is how similar Lucy and David are, despite how she says they are. They both don't have parents, hate the world they live in, and are talented edgerunners. But the key difference is that due to her childhood trauma, she has become detached from others, and this is reinforced by Kiwi's philosophy of trusting no one but yourself. But my boy David is not like this. Despite his miserable childhood, he is still empathetic and a gentle soul, always putting others before himself. By being with David, Lucy's desire for detachment is slowly chipped away, and she falls in love with him. But she knows David's empathy would get him killed real quick in Night City, so she pushes him away to protect him. This isn't rejection, but a new fear Lucy unlocked, not wanting to see David die before her. We see this in episode 6, when she learns of the cyber skeleton and the plans of using David as a test subject from hacking into Tanaka's mind. Due to the previous trauma by Arasaka, which is explained in episode 7, she becomes terrified at the thought of losing David, especially to the corporation that had fucked her up. And she withholds this information from David, as she is scared of what he would think of it. Lucy was ultimately responsible for flatlining Tanaka, which alerted the trauma team, which got Maine and Dorio killed, all in the pursuit of her dream of being with David. This disdain for Arasaka, combined with the terror of losing David, leads her to withdraw from the crew, in order to personally hunt down edgerunners looking for David, which results in her eventual kidnapping. Meanwhile, David is dealing with his own issues. He's lost his mom and Maine, his father figure, but he's still fine. That is, until episode 8. David kills an innocent worker which reminded him of his mom, which puts a 30 times multiplier on his existing emotional scars. And after factoring in his roided up body, he is teetering over the edge of cyberpsychosis. And this vulnerability is what makes him a compelling character. The fact that he never overcomes his trauma because he just has to keep moving forward due to Night City's chaos, leading to these mental wounds tarrying in his mind, and getting PTSD feels so bitterly real and natural that you can sympathize with him. But ultimately, the most tragic thing about David and Lucy's relationship is how it ends. David went cyber psycho, and he was brought back to sanity thanks to Lucy's kiss. A little cliche? Yes, but why do you not hear anime snobs be like,
"Wow, didn't see that one coming, such original writing"?
It's because you're so fucking emotionally invested that this trope enriches the story and reinforces their love for each other, instead of feeling forced or cliche. But no one gets a happy ending in Night City, unless you're Falco. As David fights Adam Smasher, he provides a chance for Lucy to escape. They both can't bear the thought of losing each other, but as David always puts others before himself, he chooses to self-sacrifice so that Lucy could finally achieve her dream. But what he doesn't realize is that this dream means nothing to Lucy anymore, as he won't be there with her. And that's the tragedy. Two people grasping for something they've already found were torn apart by the curse of Night City, and sank deeper into despair. As Lucy walks alone on the moon, visions of David appear, back when he was more human, when they first met. Lucy remembers David for how he lived, not how he died. She's finally made it to the moon, surrounded by stars, but the one that shone the brightest in her eyes is gone. And just like her, I'm probably never gonna get over this. I wish I could spend just as much yap talking about the other characters, but for the sake of this video's length, I'm just gonna quickly spit some ways they augment the story. Rebecca was the most human character in the show. The one who tried to see the silver lining in such an ironically grey world, which is why she has a cult following on Twitter. But antithetically, she got sat on by the least human creature, Adam Smasher. Like, fucking hell, is there anything that's organic about this guy? Not even his fucking voice sounds real. Main saving David as he went cyber psycho, and being the one who looked after him after his mum died, gave you a shred of comfort for a few episodes, before succumbing to the inevitable machinations of Night City. He passes the torch to David as he urges him to live on. Yep, so add that to the list of reasons for being depressed. Oh, and did you guys know that there's this music video for the ending song Let You Down, where it gives us the backstory of Sasha? This wasn't actually in the anime, but you should definitely watch it, as it somehow makes you feel sad for a character in 4 minutes without a single line of dialogue. Why am I bringing this up, you ask? Well, that's because it adds to the... For those who have been living under a rock, Cyberpunk Edgerunners is based on the game Cyberpunk 2077, which had the most successful game launch in history. Yep, people paid $70 for this. But let's be real, the world of Cyberpunk is actually fucking incredible. And the anime leverages this to build its story around. The quick pacing means that the director has to be very efficient with their storytelling, and they execute it perfectly. They do this by shoving exposition down your throat the first episode. Boom, this is Night City, it's fucked. Boom, a cyborg that went psycho. Maybe it's because of an illness called cyberpsychosis. Boom, here's David, he's broke, rejected, and oop, his mum just died. Now he's pissed. You may not care about the characters at this point in the show, but all this was necessary and also reflects the fast-paced theme of the city and story. Episode 2 builds upon the characters. We get our first baddie interaction, and this is the first time we see David actually connect with someone. They do some crime together, David fucks around and finds out about the dangers of his new power. Finally, some more bonding and introduction of Lucy's dream of visiting the moon. She simply explains that anything is better than the city. Her reason is later elaborated on, and that's a common trend in Edgerunners. They introduce a concept or theme early on in a basic sense, which could be overlooked. But then this concept is built upon, and you go,
okay, I understand it now.
Because it gives you this aha moments. We see this done with David's mum's dream of Arasaka Tower, which is infamous at this point. But also the danger of cyberpsychosis, as from episode 1 we see this guy commit a massacre, and you may think that it's just because he has an overpowered bionic parts, but in episode 4, we see a literal bum able to insta-kill Pillar, and we know that everyone in Main's gang is experienced and skilled. So for this to happen really recontextualizes how serious cyberpsychosis is, and this concept is developed further with Main and David, adding emotionality through the horrors of slowly losing someone you cared about. And one last example is the fucking music. Ah yes, my favorite genre.
Emotional, damn it!
The song I Really Want to Stay at Your House was first used in episode 2, in a wholesome scene where Lucy and David go on a date. Thus, you associate it with happiness. The director was absolutely devious, and used this again in the last episode, in the worst goddamn moments, instantly annihilating your previous connotations of the song, saying a big fuck you, and starts ripping your heartstrings apart with a chainsaw. I've actually been listening to this song while writing this script, and yeah, it really helps amplify my depression. And you know what? I actually can't go on anymore. Like, there's so much I want to talk about, but I'll actually get heart failure or some shit at this point, so let me just wrap up this section. One last thing to add is that this story breaks the main character trope. David thought he was built different, and that he was that guy, but this isn't some anime world where the MC has plot armor and everything just goes right in the end. Along the way, the insinuation that no one gets a happy ending in Night City is implanted in your head. But you grow so attached to the characters in the story that you pray as hard as you can that maybe David really is special and manages to achieve his dreams. But nope. No plot armor, no happy ending. And with that, I'll see you in a future video. Hopefully not as miserable. Don't even bother subscribing, man. I just needed to get this off my chest.